hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Marriage Matters with Ken and Shar. It's great having you in. How you doing today, babe?
I'm very thankful today.
You're thankful?
Yeah.
That the magic word today, the key word?
Yes, the key word. I'm thankful. I had a little tumble not long ago, and I have a big bruise, but you know what? I didn't break anything.
You know what? That is true.
So
we are thankful for that.
All week long, I've been thinking, thank you, Lord, that I didn't end up having...
She did take a tumble, and it was right behind me. I didn't see it happen. You know, you see the aftermath. She spread out all over the floor, and there was a very large bruise involved. Yeah.
That's okay, though. It's good. And
you're doing good.
I am. I'm doing great.
Well, we are thankful. It's great to be with you. We are over here at the coast on a little bit of a working mini vacation, trying to get in front of the microphones as much as we can and get a few of these episodes out in front of us. So it's great being here. It's beautiful outside. Rained last night over where we are, but it's beautiful today.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is part 2 of Marriage and Your Money. I think this is going to stretch into 3 parts, don't you, Beck?
I think so. I said that all along, and you kept saying no. But I said, no, this is a big one.
Yeah, it is big.
It's a huge topic, and
it's probably worth slowing down and taking
really
a little time.
Because the Bible has a lot to say about our money.
Huge.
And we know how much conflict can happen in marriages with this topic. It's big.
Well, those are the 2 reasons I think we are going to spend a little extra time. Number one, just how there is a volume of information and guidance scripturally on how we're to approach money and what our attitude should be and how we should view ourselves. We talked a lot about that actually in the first part in the last episode. And then secondly, just our experience says couples everywhere are vulnerable to the struggle that comes with money decisions and figuring out a vision for your marriage money together in a unified way. It's a common source of reoccurring cyclical tension and arguments and conflict within a marriage. So for those 2 reasons alone, I guess it is worth taking some time.
Well, I think that in our life of being married, it's been a big one. We've had sometimes some good money coming in, and then a lot of times most of the time we were on a budget, and a very restricted budget, and which is okay. But being able to work through that and live within our budget, live within our means, has been a way that we've had to learn to live, and it's a good life. It's just not like other people's lives, maybe.
Sure.
If you compare it to people making more than you.
Which we all tend to do.
Yes, we do. Right? We don't compare it usually to the people that make much less.
And think the next thought we have as we compare usually is, why don't I have enough? I don't have enough. I need more.
I just want more.
And we addressed this in our last episode. That can be a lie. You have enough. God is faithful.
He is faithful.
It's how you're managing it and what kind of vision you have for it.
And how content you are in where the Lord has you.
Very true.
That's a learned thing.
So if you looked at where we are going here, one way to think of it is last episode we dealt with the what the Bible says about money, what our attitude should be, what a right view of our marriage money should be between a husband and wife. Today would be more about the how. How do we actually execute it once we've got our heart right and we're thinking right? And we are content, and we believe with all of our heart that God has given us enough. The question is always, how are we managing it? How do we get there? And boy, I mean, would you agree, babe, that over the years of work with marriages, there's talk about an empty tool bag. We didn't know how.
No.
So we had to gain tools over time and figure out how to actually manage this. And it's not a one size fits all. People will manage. Some are in envelopes. Right? Some are online banking now. Some have a brick and mortar bank, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But now we're talking about the actual how to manage a budget and create a budget,
right?
And manage that budget in a way that it accomplishes what the Lord has purposed for you to accomplish.
And also, I want to put out here is that it shouldn't be overwhelming, because sometimes some people's budgets are overwhelming and you look at it and you go, I can't do that.
Right.
I don't even know where to start.
Right.
I, at one point, felt overwhelmed by our finances. There just wasn't enough. I felt there wasn't enough money to handle all the growing needs that our family had.
Right.
And I didn't know how to achieve it.
Right.
And it was almost depressing. I remember crying one day in the living room going, I can't do this.
Right.
I'm not equipped for this. I can't pay for car insurance for my 16-year-old.
Right.
It's
Right.
too much money.
Right.
I can't pay for college. Those things you have to weigh out together as a couple. I just think that it was a way that you and I became closer to praying through these things.
Gosh,
and
that's
making
a
a
great
decision.
point. This is another one of those things that, man, if you do it together and quit being each other's adversary or
Right.
enemy here, it's, I mean, even in that Ecclesiastes 4 passage, it talks about two being better than one. The very first reason it gives is that there's a shared reward. You accomplish more, and the joy of battling through, hearing the Lord and executing things together, it really does unify two hearts. It's really powerful.
I'm thinking of a story once. Remember when the kids were in high school? We had two drivers at this time. And then us two, we were drivers. And at one point we shared a car for a while, for like a year. We shared a car because we could do it. We worked at the same place. And we could go to work and back together. And it made our life easier that way. We didn't have to go out and purchase a whole new car. We couldn't afford that.
Right.
But we could share a car. And some of our friends thought we were nuts. Totally. When I look at it, I go, yeah, this is kind of crazy. Nobody normally does this. But because it caused less financial stress in our life, it was worth it.
Well, what you're going to see is today that it all comes down to value, your values, what you value. We valued a lot of things more at that point, or other things took a greater precedence in our heart.
Yeah, like eating.
Yeah, right? Paying the light bills, right?
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. So we have two disclaimers here before we really get into the nuts and bolts. And I think they're both important and we need to state them. Number one, first disclaimer is that we almost always, I would say nearly always, encourage two income couples, if you're both working, to pool your money together. We are not fans of separate checking accounts, separate spending accounts. Commonly we see it. Okay, honey, I'll take care of the car payment and the house payment. You take care of the utilities and the food. And what I have left over is mine to do with what I want to do. What you have left over after your commitments, you do what you want. Two income families have a decision to make. You're either going to pool it together, and we'll use the Smiths as our family here, into the Smith family pot, and you're going to have a Smith family vision for your money that you have prayed through together and talked about it, or you're going to divide that out. You're going to divvy out the responsibilities, and then your spouse has to just at that point
trust that you're
you're going to do what you want with the rest of your money. Now, we're just not a fan of that. We think and have experienced too much distrust that comes with that. It leaves somebody when they're out of money coming with their little hat in their hand saying, honey, can I have a little bit more money? And I just think it creates all kinds of weird disunity between a husband and wife, or it can.
Well, you can accomplish more when you pull it together. And you have one family. You have one family bank account. That's what it is.
We've seen it create, again, distrust, selfishness, even greed at that point, and just a whole lot of disunity. Now, often the instinct to do that, to separate that money, comes from this weird thought in the back of earners' minds. I work hard for my money and it is my money, right? I make more than my spouse does. Therefore, I should have more authority. I should be able to do what I want to do with it because I'm the breadwinner or the larger of the two breadwinners. And I just think it comes from a really, really selfish heartedness. So people may disagree with us. I don't know. We don't listen to a lot of financial counselors, but this is our position. And we start here with almost every couple that we talk to about money. Do you combine it? Do you have a family vision that's unified, that honors both people, that isn't filled with selfish desires, that it's for the highest good of both, right? So that's what we do with that. There's a This idea that, look, I earn more, therefore I get to do with it what I want. You don't have a say with what's left over of my money that I have earned. That we learned this. I'm going to share with you the it's a biblical narrative. It's a story actually that spoke to our hearts. So we got over this really, really quick.
We did.
It's out of 1 Samuel chapter 30, and the backdrop is that the city of Ziklag had become raided by the Amalekites, and they took off their women and their kids, and they just pillaged the place and left. And David had been out at a battle with his armed men. They came back. Their wives were gone. Their children were gone. And he had to go in hot pursuit of this raiding band of Amalekites. And so he had 600 men with him. 200 were too fatigued from the previous battle to go. So he left them behind to stay in Ziklag and watch the stuff and watch the city so that it didn't get raided while they were gone. Well, the story goes on. Again, I'm in 1 Samuel 30, that they catch up. They completely destroy this band of marauding Amalekites, and they recover their women, their wives, and their children, and all the stuff that was taken. They recover it and bring it back. And as they get back into the city, here's what happens. The 400 men that went out to battle began to grumble when they began to divvy out the spoils, right? They said, look, they can have their wives back and their kids, but that's it. They didn't go to battle. These other men did not go to battle. They don't get any of the spoils. And in 1 Samuel 30, verse 24, David does a very wise thing, and this actually became a law in Israel after this. Let me read it to you. He says, who then will hearken unto this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall be his part that tarrieth behind to watch the stuff. They shall part alike. Goes on to say, and it was so from that day forward that it made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. What he was saying is, that's not going to happen here. Equal in portion, another translation has it, is that spoils for the one who stayed behind to watch the stuff, and it is for the one who goes down to battle. Whatever I earn personally in our family, she's equal portion. It is equally hers as it is mine. Whatever she earns is equally mine as it is hers. This is what we had to learn. This is why we do believe it's always better to combine your finances. It breeds that sense of unity, that whatever I have belongs to you in equal portion. I don't care who won it in battle. I don't care who slayed the dragons. I don't care who worked hard. What we have belongs to each other. And we hope that that's making sense to somebody out there that makes a decision even today.
Well, and there was a time in our life when we had 3 children that were under 5 years old, 6 years old, that I stayed home with the kids.
Yeah.
And I did all the stuff watching.
Yep. Right.
I would have loved to.
You're the premier stuff watcher.
I would have loved to leave at 8:00 in the morning and be gone all day long.
You'd love to be the one going out to battle.
I used to say to you a lot. I remember, I don't get a lunch break.
Hey, trust me, I wouldn't have traded places for you.
And you did say that often.
You couldn't pay me enough.
And for that person that is staying behind and taking care of the household and everything that goes along with it, they need to know that it's equal.
Yeah.
They're in their battle too.
Yep, absolutely.
So it was wonderful always knowing that whatever you made as far as physical money, that I was doing my part too.
So let's speak to each partner now. Men, if you're the primary breadwinner, maybe the only breadwinner, and your beautiful wife is at home with your lovely children, she's equal in portion with every penny you make. Women who are out there working hard and contributing, he's equal in portion with every penny you make. Do it together. That's our first disclaimer here. Secondly, you need a vision. The Bible's very clear in Proverbs 29:18. It states, where there is no vision, many of you have heard this verse before, where there is no vision, the people perish, is one translation. Better translation is, where there is no vision, the people are unrestrained. When there's no clear understanding of how God has called you to manage his wealth, to manage his money, then you will be unrestrained with how you spend. You're assuming it's yours to spend. You're not consulting the owner of it, which is God himself. and you are unrestrained in how you manage money. Every couple, man, if there's one thing you're going to hear in this episode, please hear this. Every couple needs to hear from the Lord and to submit their finances to God and have a vision for what he wants you to be accomplishing with your money. Without it, you'll be unrestrained and you'll never have enough.
And I want to point out that this isn't a teaching on tithing.
Right. Thank you.
This isn't a teaching about what God wants from you.
Nope.
And a lot of people think, okay, God just wants my money. No, he doesn't need your money. You don't.
He owns it all.
He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Okay, excuse me, but this is not on that. This is on for marital,
in regard to marriage.
Yes, for marriage to be easier, so you don't have the stress of financial conflict over and over and over, to finally get a handle on it, where you guys can communicate well and make decisions well that's glorifying to God and to each other. You both being extremely excited about where you're at together in regarding your finances.
True that. Another translation, by the way, of that verse, we love it. It says that where there is no vision, the people run wild.
Oh, I didn't know
Isn't that great? Yeah. That's what unrestrained means. It means they run wild.
True.
They spend wildly.
It's
right?
True.
Impulsively, without thought, without a sense of consequences, without any vision. That's what will happen. So disclaimer number 2, gang, you need a vision. If you don't have it, turn this podcast off right now, go home and get it. And spend time together until you have a unified understanding of what God wants you to accomplish.
Right. And that takes prayer and time and conversation. A lot of it.
Okay, so here we go. Let's get into some nuts and bolts. We call this above line living. Next episode, we'll deal with below line living. You'll get used to those terms as we go on. Point number 1, your marriage money budget that you get together, this is what we're advocating, is to be understood not as just math, working out numbers. It's a reflection of what you truly together believe in your heart. Whatever your budget comes out, however it looks, your spending items, your expenses, and how you deal with them, it's a reflection of what your heart values and what you believe in your heart is truly important. Here's a question. If we were to ask you as a couple right now to write down all of your current expenses in a descending order from the greatest value, the one that if very little money came in, this is the one we'd never not pay. We would do this with it. What would that be? Then what would the second most valuable one be? What would the third most important one be? And work all the way down everywhere you have an expense. And that could be 10 or 15, maybe 20 items by the time you're done. What would that look like? My hunch is that it would look very different for a lot of people. Some of you would put, well, I mean, my clothes budget, I have to wear suits every day. And so I got to spend money. It would be that, or some might put my car. I love my car. Some of you might put your pet first. I'm going to buy dog food for Fifi, or I'm going to buy something for Fido. I don't know what that would be. Some of you might put, I don't know, I'm taking care of aging parents. Might put educational goals there. But it's good to set together and understand what you value together and the higher values up top and as you go down. Now, we believe that the top 4 items, we call it above line, should be the same in every Christian household.
Well, and I think the reason is because it's scriptural.
Sure.
That's the reason. It's not because of we say so. It's because of this is what the scriptures say.
Right. So these 4 expense items, if you were to draw a line on paper, they go above the line. That meaning these are the most important from the top one down. And this is what they should look like. So if you were to say, okay, we're gonna follow Ken and Shar, we're gonna do a budget. This is where you want to start. Get your values on paper, your expense values. Number 1, giving. Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all of your increase. The first thing you do is in worship and thanksgiving and praise that he has given you a sliver of his wealth to manage, you give to the Lord. Now, we're going to leave it there. We're not going to call it tithing. We're not going to list a percentage here. We're just going to start with, encouraging every couple here today, above line living, to have the right values in place, the Lord and his kingdom come first in an act of worship, right? Can we start there?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the most important place to start. Number two, second most valuable. So if I had limited dollars coming in, first thing I'm going to do, that's why they call it first fruits in the Bible, gang. It comes off first, right? I'm going to give to the Lord. And man, hon, there's been times where that was hard to do.
Yes, it was.
It was done by faith, right? Because I would have loved not to in the math, to make the math work, right? But again, faith says no, give to the Lord.
I came to a point in our life, I remember thinking, Lord, how are we going to ever retire in our older age? It's like you turn 50 and you start thinking of things you've never thought about before. And I just was really continuing to pray about, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? We don't have that many more years of earning. And the Lord, it was so sweet that he spoke to my heart and he said, you gave to me. You faithfully gave to me. You did put in for retirement.
Yeah.
I will take care of you.
I love
you
that.
gave faithfully. And I went, you're right. I don't have to worry about retirement.
Yep.
That I will be taken care of. I don't know how.
That's true.
But I will be.
And he does, right?
And he does.
Yep.
And he is. And I love that about him. Is give to the Lord. That's what he asks you to do in faith.
Yep.
That's what it takes.
So husbands, wives, as you work through a budget, put giving to the Lord off the bat. If you give him nothing today and you're thinking maybe in the back of your head, gosh, 10%, we just don't have that to give, then don't. Give him $20 every pay period. And then when that gets easy and you're not even thinking about it, it becomes just like it's nothing, then give him 40 every pay period. And if you just keep increasing by faith, you're going to find that eventually you'll be a tither if that's what your goal is, right? But start somewhere. So number two, okay, first off the top, in value, giving to the Lord, not taking care of aged parents, not paying the house payment. It's giving to the Lord. Number two, shelter and food. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of the household, his own household, he has denied the faith and is even worse than an unbeliever. Taking care of husband, wife, family under your roof is big to the Lord. So number two, shelter and food. That would be rent, mortgage, whatever that is,
utilities,
food on the table, utilities. You include, to work out a budget, you would include everything it takes to have shelter and food at that point. Okay, so all we've done so far, right, is give to the Lord in worship, and we've made sure we have a roof over our head and food to eat. Now, if you're doing that, let's understand something. You're living above at least half the world, if not 2/3 of the world population, who can't even do that. Right? So we're doing good so far. Number three, again, above line living. These are the things, the items, the 4 items that seems to me would be the biblical way for every believing couple to organize your finances. Giving to the Lord, shelter and food. Number 3, and this may surprise people, debt service. You have debt. You've given your word. You've signed these are loans and contracts that you have. Psalm 37:21 says, the wicked borrows and does not repay, but the righteous shows mercy and gives. It's a wicked thing to borrow money and not pay. Now, a caveat here. There are laws on our books, bankruptcy laws, that are there for people who, because of unforeseen medical crises, economic crises, whatever, where you just simply cannot. You've lost a job, a company folded up and locked you out. There is no income. We're not saying it's never time for a bankruptcy. What we are saying, I don't think it's ever time when I can pay my bills to just decide, you know what, this is getting too hard. I don't want to. I'm going to give it all back and start from scratch. We don't vote for that. Okay. If you can pay your bills, be faithful. You gave them your word. Something about a Christian witness is on the line here, right? Where I sign on a line, I give my word. You let me live in this house. I pay you this much. You let me drive this car. You let me come to your gym and work out. You let me use this telephone. So these are your contracts and loans. Remember, The wicked borrow, but does not repay. So third item would be you list all of those contracts and loans. So now you're giving to the Lord. You've taken care of shelter and food. You're servicing the minimums I'm talking about on your loans and contracts. Now you've got stuff. You've got a gym you go to, a telephone. What else contracts are there? I mean,
there's car loans.
I don't know, you bought a couch on time, a furniture loan or something, and you've still got enough money. So if you're doing that, now you're ahead of about probably 90% of the world.
Right.
You're in luxury. You are paying all your contracts, food, shelter, you're giving to the Lord. Man, you're doing great. If there's more, now we're at savings. You save. Proverbs 6 in verse 6 it says, even just look at nature, the ants, they harvest, they store up. As human beings in an agrarian culture, you plant, you harvest, you store for the wintertime when you can't harvest. Saving is a way of life. It's a plan of God, nature itself. Again, Proverbs 6:6, it says, go out and look at the ants. They put away stuff so that they have it in other times, where in times of leanness. So
I remember once when we first started saving, and we didn't have much money, and we decided we're going to save $10 a month. Now that sounds ridiculous that it was only $10 a month, but
that was a big deal for us.
It was a big deal. That was back in the 80s,
Yeah.
and or 70s. And we, at first, you think, what is $10 a month going to do? I mean, literally, what is $10? But at the end of the year, that was $120. $120 went way more further than it does now.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon $10 wasn't that hard to save.
Right.
And we could up it. But then when we needed a new refrigerator or new tires, we didn't have to put it on credit.
Right.
Because we had some money that we had saved for those kind of things. So you start small. It's not like you have to save $1,000 a month. Save what you can right now. Don't go out to dinner tonight and save that money instead. And just once a month. Once a month.
Now let's be real. We're talking there's two kinds of couples out there listening right now. There's some that are going, hey, I'm doing that. That's awesome. I'm giving to the Lord. We're paying for shelter and food, meeting the demands of any contracts and loans, the debt that I've incurred, and we are saving.
Right.
We're doing awesome. Then you know what? You're that's just super duper. But we also know there's couples going, we're losing ground every month. Right. Then you only have two options at this point. Now, again, we haven't even talked about. Now, notice what we've not talked about. Entertainment. We're spending zero now on entertainment.
Right.
At this point. Now, we're going to get to below line in the next episode. That's where we'll talk about things like entertainment, your mad money, retirement, vacations, gifts for other people.
School.
Yep. Educational. We've not even, unless you already have a school loan, and that falls under that third item, which is debt service, if you already have a school loan. But if you're saving for future educational goals, we haven't talked about any of that. Right now,
the rest of our life.
That's
the rest of our
right now, there's no taking care of an aging mother or father, because we only have giving to the Lord, shelter and food, debt service, and saving. So we know there's somebody out there going, I can't even do that. Then you only have two options. You either have to take a second job and earn more to keep up, or you are living beyond your means. So if you're listening to this and there's just not enough dollars coming in to even perform that above line living, giving to the Lord, shelter and food, debt service, loans, contracts, and saving a little bit, then tragically you're living above your means, and it's time to make some hard changes
together.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where things really do get difficult.
Right.
And we can't be there in your home to walk through how to do this, but the two of you need to be courageous at seeking the Lord, making the hard decisions. You may not be able to pay for your 16-year-old prom, your old prom tuxedo. I don't know. There's things that you're going to have to say no to.
Right.
They may not be able to get new soccer cleats or do this, but you've got to be able to make the hard decision, or you will continue to bury yourself in debt. You're going to hit credit cards. You're going to work it another way. You only have two options: to make more money or cut expenses. It only goes one of two ways.
Well, and I just want to say here, the only reason that we're really strong on this is because what we have seen financial stress due to couples.
Yes.
This is a marriage. This is a
heartbreaking.
marriage podcast,
Yep.
and we want you to live with your spouse in the best possible way, being blessed. And this is an area
with peace and joy in your
with
homes.
peace and joy. And this is an area that breaks people up.
Yeah.
It really does.
The stress of money.
It is awful.
But if we could be honest, it mostly comes through, again, having no vision,
right,
mismanagement,
right,
living above means. These are problems that we're getting at here,
and not being humble enough as a couple to say, Lord, we're not doing very well in this
right,
area for whatever reason.
Right.
A lot of it is unforeseen things,
yeah,
that you didn't count on.
Right.
And when you just say, Lord, help us,
Yeah.
we'll do whatever we can to get us out of this situation that
Right.
we're in that's causing us great financial stress and
Right.
marital conflict.
Yep. Now, the great hope is, we're going to wrap up with this thought, and is that we have seen so many couples that when they
Yes.
get serious about getting a vision from God and executing that vision, doing it together, it's amazing how fast a financial life can turn around. The longest I've ever seen it take for one to get turned around and become really, really healthy is about 2 years. So take hope. If you think there's just no hope here, we're so backwards, you're wrong. This can be won.
Actually, I've seen it happen in as little as 1 month.
Yep.
But usually by 6 months.
Things are way better.
Things are looking so up. You're happy. You're excited. You've got even more vision because you see the Lord working this out in you. Because where He asked you to be obedient and you are, He comes and His blessing falls.
Oh, He does.
And especially in this area.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for today. Now, this is, again, part 2. Part 3 will drop in a week. Please listen in, because that's where we get to the bottom line living. How do we make decisions? What do we do with what money is left over after we're meeting all those needs of our top line? What do we do? Do we just get willy-nilly, spend it now? Now do I get to do anything I want? Or should we still be seeking the Lord for His direction? Right. So we're eager to be with you then too. So
we are.
Hopefully this helps, guys. It was great being with you today. May God bless you each richly. That's our prayer.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.